¿Qué tal, amigos? Welcome back to another edition of LatiNation Football Club, and I'm very excited because we have such an amazing show today. We're going to talk about MLS, we're going to talk about Conca Champions, Champions League. There's so much football, la Copa del Rey, Clásico Español, oh my God. And that's why I am here with my good friend Nik Z. Amigo, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, I'm doing well. How are you doing, Marcel?
I'm doing very well. Sporting this jersey, as you can see, Versailles Football Club, an obscure third division club from France. But little trivia: the boyhood club of Thierry Henry. So there you have it. Very elegant.
I am in a plain gray t-shirt. I'm mourning the LA Galaxy season thus far, so I'm just going neutral with a gray.
That's why you're not wearing a jersey. Like you're protesting your team. I respect that, my good friend. So now, speaking of Galaxy, let's start there because we're going to talk about MLS. Y Galaxy no calienta, Nick. No levanta, no despierta. It seemed like this is going to be a lost season for them completely. Do you see an exit? Do you see a ray of hope, a light that might want to make you wear your jersey again?
I'm glad you kind of put that last spin on it because I could say for once I'm starting to see some signs of life here. Gabriel Peck actually had some good opportunities there, and we've really been lackluster up front, and that's what you want to see. Paintsil's coming back as well, so I have some reasons to be optimistic. We don't know when our stars will be back, and we are suffering from a lot of injuries at the moment, and that's all kind of up in the air. So hey, look, we make it to the playoffs. We might see Puig back, and things might turn around. But for now, I'm remaining optimistic, and I'm just going to assume we're still in this figuring it out stage because look, we have a lot of new additions to the team, right? A lot of new guys have stepped in. Senge, Christian Ramirez, he's scored half of our goals so far this season. We're still trying to figure out how to play these guys, fit those components back into the team, and they're finding themselves. But yeah, each match that happens, each game we go without another win, it's just like another week, and it's, oh my God, how long is this going to go on? But there are some signs of hope, and let's just take it one step at a time. Let's score a few more goals. Let's just get a win on the board, and we can maybe alleviate some of that pressure and start to think about it. But for right now, it's sort of hard. It's like Gabriel Peck has shown some signs of life. Paintsil, all right, but we still got problems in the midfield. We got problems in the back. And those are just things we're going to have to hammer out. I'm going to remain optimistic. That's all I can tell you right now.
I envy your optimism because, unlike you, my team, LAFC, went and got a very weird result at Portland, 3-3. Olivier Giroud, after 13 months at MLS, finally put his name on the scorer list. A banger of a goal from a goal kick, from a free kick. Nick, but I'm not happy with the team. There's new additions that came this last week. Frankie Amaya, who used to be the 2019 first draft pick from the MLS. There's movements, there's something happening, but the team, it's definitely in transition now that the coach has announced that he will be stepping off at the end of the season. It's a transition, it's a process, and the players will try to do their best without knowing what's happening the next season, what coach is going to come in. Nick, let's talk about the top dogs of the tournament that are not our teams. We are talking about the real top teams competing right now. I'm talking about Miami. I'm talking about Columbus. I'm talking about Vancouver. I'm talking about Cincinnati. Let's talk with Vancouver and Miami. We'll talk about that game later on in the show, Nick. But oh my God, Miami, even when they are not playing well, they get the result, and not against any, equipucho ahí. Le ganaron a Columbus.
Oh my God. I mean, it's Miami. They've been doing great. Mascherano, I think, has been absolutely great for them as well. And they've remained unbeaten for a reason. They're just absolutely beautiful to watch. And I think we need that in the MLS. It's great. Now, the Whitecaps, on the other hand, out on the West Coast, they have been an absolute pleasure to watch. Look, they don't have a Messi. They don't have those Latin stars, that fuego. But you know what? They're demonstrating consistent performances. They've climbed to second place now in the power rankings, and it just reflects their strong form in this early part of the season. The exact opposite of everything I just talked about with the Galaxy. The Whitecaps in Miami are showing that consistency and just this beautiful, cohesive, glued together play that we're not getting with other teams. Another one that's been actually fascinating to watch is Charlotte FC all season long, shining bright. And I love to see that as well.
I was not a fan of Vancouver, but from the very beginning of the
Yeah.
season, I knew that this team was, running at a different pace than the rest of them. I'm excited to see, and share with you guys what happened on the Concacaf Champions. This game was very exciting. But the reality, Nick, is that right now it seems like it's Miami's tournament to lose. They seem to have the most complete package, if you will, in between star power, resilience, and luck. And other teams that they have it all, like we saw with the game with Columbus. Columbus was all over Miami at the end of that game, and they were not able to score. There's a mystic, there's an era. Unfortunately, it seemed like Miami will get that second in a row supporter shield. They are one game clear in the standings in third place. If they win that game that they have in hand, they will be 2 points clear from everybody else. And we are very early in the season still. Nick, what are the games? Tell me, what are the games that you're going to be looking forward this weekend? There's big and important games. What should what are we tuning into this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati, as you mentioned, an amazing squad that everyone should be keeping their eye on. They're going head with Sporting KC. That's going to be a good one to watch. Of course, another team that's been amazing so far this season, Philly going head to head against DC United. Charlotte as well on the weekend against New England. Charlotte actually picked up some players here, the transfer window, so that's going to be interesting to see as well. But yeah, I mean, locally too, San Diego FC going against Real Salt Lake over the weekend as well. So many games, don't know where to start. But that's kind of what I've been keeping my eye on. What about you?
I am, watching the Sunday primetime game, 4 p.m. Pacific, LAFC versus St. Louis. St. Louis is not doing that well, but it's a dangerous team that can get the result. And LAFC needs to get some momentum. They need to string some wins because they have nothing else to fight unless, Nick, unless they do play that famous playoff against America to see if they qualify for the Club World Cup that will be coming pretty soon, Nick, and we'll be having a tight coverage of that tournament. So, Nick, before we leave, let's talk about this transfer window that just closed this week. One of my favorite ones that I think it has a lot of potential is the exit from Julian Gressel from Miami. I think that this is a very promising transfer for the player. What do you think?
Oh, well, hey, they're picking up Maximilio Falcon, the Uruguayan defender's acquisition. I think for the team is going to strengthen interior in the back, obviously. Their back line could use some strengthening, and think that's going to be really great for him. Another squad that I mentioned, like 18 times already so far, is Charlotte FC. They got the Ivorian winger Wilfred Zaha. I think that's going to be exciting as well. He is actually on loan, though, coming all the way from Turkey, from Galatasaray. So that's going to be fun. I'm always excited when we're getting international players from big teams abroad, and those are two good examples.
Like I mentioned earlier, Frankie Amaya for me is the most exciting addition to the LAFC squad. He comes from Toluca, having a lot of success with New York Bulls. Someone that knows the tournament, knows the league. Also, Ryan Raposo, it's a great player. It's a winger and an attacking-minded player that can finally feed some balls to Olivier Giroud. That can now say that he's a scorer for LAFC. He's tied with Fito Celaya with 1 goal for the black and gold. Nick, that's enough of my jokes. We have to go on a break. Thank you for your insight. What is your main game this weekend?
Oof, I got to see what's going to happen with my Galaxy against Timbers. That's not going to be an easy game, but that's going to be going down on Sunday. I'm going to be getting my rosary beads and wearing my gray t-shirt. That's what I'll be doing.
Thank you, Nick. We'll be watching the MLS all weekend long. And before we go on a break, remember, when we come back, Camila Ortiz will bring us all the excitement of the National Women's Soccer League. This is LatiNation Football Column. Don't go anywhere.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, do you get rid of Booker? Because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
¿Qué tal, amigos? We are back here in LatiNation Football Club, and I'm very excited because our very own Camila Ortiz is here, and she has all the details of the latest match day of the National Women's Soccer League. Yes, that is right. The NWSL is still early on the season, but that's why we are informing you so you can get in the game and start thinking of the playoffs, although down the road. Camila, a lot of exciting things, movement on the table. Some of the biggest teams falter. Orlando, the one that we thought that would be an unbeatable team, finally match their own. Talk to me. What was the exciting part of this weekend in National Women's Soccer League?
I mean, there was honestly a lot of exciting parts about week's 5 match day. We saw some upsets, again, like you said, Orlando Pride. I honestly don't think, however, that this came as a shock. I mean, Washington Spirit is an incredibly strong team in this league, and it wasn't going to be an easy win for any of those two teams, honestly.
What do you think made the difference? Why do you think Washington had the edge on this game?
I think Washington, they had something to prove. You know, they want to show that they too are a top dog. And yes, Orlando Pride had that winning streak, not anymore, but they wanted to show up, remind everybody who they are in this league, I think.
So how does this change the standings right now? I know that now there's some movement. Orlando is still on the top spots, but talk to me. How is it looking?
I mean, we have the Kansas City Currents at number 1 right now. They are still on their winning streak. They've won 5 games in a row. They're going into week 6. I think everybody's wondering, how long can they keep this up for? Right below, we have Orlando Pride, and just below them, we have Washington Spirit. I really think Washington Spirit is trying hard to get over to that number 2 spot right now.
Another team that we were looking closely, and I know you're a fan, ACFC. I know that it's hanging in 5th, 5th, 6th spot this week. They have a game on hand. What's happening? They had a pretty bad week this weekend.
Yeah, ACFC unfortunately dropped a little bit. They're in 6th place right now, and we suffered a severe loss this weekend. We lost 4-0 at home versus Gotham, and it was a disappointing performance. I mean, this didn't look like the team I've been following this season so far. They look just disorganized, especially defensively, and I mean, that's why they got 4 goals scored on them, unfortunately.
I mean, we do have to accept that Gotham NYC is one of the top teams of the league as well. And this is a rivalry that has been growing year after year, the East versus the West. A lot of hype around the game, and ACFC couldn't deliver at home. Now, who is the top scorer as of now in the tournament, Camila?
As of right now, Esther Gonzalez is the lead goal scorer. She's a Spanish forward with 5 goals so far this season. She plays on Gotham and she's been playing extremely well. Unfortunately, Gotham did, however, face a similar fate. They actually ended up losing this Tuesday against the Portland Thorns 4-1. So, yeah, it wasn't the best performance from them, but Esther individually has been playing incredibly well.
A lot of games all the time with the NWSL. I know there's games on Tuesdays, on Fridays, on Saturdays, on Sundays, so there's not a reason for you at home not to be watching this exciting game. Now, let's talk about some of the things that are happening off the field. I heard there's some important ownership changes around the league. Do you have any details on this developing story?
Yeah, absolutely. So North Carolina Courage, they are coming under some new ownership. We have Lauren Holiday, who's a former U.S. Women's National Team player. She's a 2-time gold medal champion with the United States National Team. She and her husband, Drew Holiday, who is an NBA player on the Celtics, have just come into ownership for the North Carolina Courage. She is going to be acting as an advisor for the team, and she says that this team is the future of women's soccer, and that's a direct quote. And, you know, unfortunately, this team is currently last in the standings, and they're the only team that hasn't won a game, but I'm hoping that this will give them some new momentum and they can show up a little bit more this season, as we're still early on.
Very interesting, Camila. It is true that sometimes when the teams are struggling on the field, they are the most attractive for investors. They come in, put some money, and turn them into winning franchises. We hope this is the case. Now, what are the games that we should be tuning in this weekend? Please let me know. Where should we be putting some money? Where should we be watching with excitement? Talk to me.
If I were you, I would be tuning in this Saturday. We have 2 incredibly exciting games. Chicago Stars, who were off to a really rocky start, but seem to have been gaining some momentum, versus San Diego Wave. This is a new team. They have been a bit unstable, but both these teams, they need a win. I think it's going to be a hard game. I think it's not going to be easy for either team, and I would definitely tune into that game. Additionally,
Are you leaning for any team there?
I mean, biasly, I have to say San Diego Wave, being a SoCal native, but I honestly think that Chicago Stars is a bit of an underdog, and you know, I always do root for an underdog too.
Awesome. Now, what is the other game that you are talking about?
This is a must-watch game, Washington Spirit versus Gotham. These are 2 top dogs in this league. They're going to be battling out. Washington Spirit, it's coming off of a big win versus Orlando Pride. So are they going to be a little bit overconfident? Is Gotham going to want to win after suffering that loss on Tuesday? I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, but it's definitely going to be a good game.
Definitely a very, very exciting game. Important for the standings because they are trying to challenge Kansas City at the top. Both of these teams, Gotham's, took the best out of ACFC, then they lost. So we'll have to wait for the weekend. Camila, I know that last week we were talking about the new appointment of the ACFC coach, but this week I was reading some criticism directed to the idea that there's very few women coaches now, ACFC being one of the teams that had a women coach. Now, tactically, it makes a lot of sense to bring this coach, but what happens to the presence, what happens to the representation of women in the sidelines for this league?
Absolutely. I think you bring up an incredibly real point. This is something that is very prevalent within the league. I think in order for the league to grow and to keep encouraging women's sports to get better, we need to bring in more quality women coaches. And I think that's just looking a little bit harder. I think, of course, ACFC's new coach, he's qualified. He's an amazing coach. But I'm sure there's also qualified female coaches. And I think we just have to get out, dig a little deeper, and find them.
That is right, Camila. This is something that we need to be paying attention, giving opportunities for more female coaches to grow in the league and to have presence, just as they do in the national team, right? The women national team has been excelling with the leadership of women right now, with Emma Hayes doing an excellent job, as she did at Chelsea. And with that, we have to close this segment. Camila, thank you so much for your insight, for your reports. Our viewership is loving it, but you at home don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to be talking about the most important club tournament in the North and Central region of the Americas, Conca Champions, Cruz Azul contra Tigres, Miami contra Vancouver, duelazos. All the details when we come back here in LatiNation Football Club.
knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Hasn't been a ton of indication that Cleveland is even looking at anybody outside of Travis Hunter. The Giants, yes, have worked out Shador Sanders.
I do think there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Not because they deserve the first round, have a first round grade on them per se, but the fact that you get the extra year of control, somebody's going to slide into one of those 30, 31, or 32 slots and grab a quarterback.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats typically in your direction if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball today. Only on SportsGrid. This is Greg. He bet a long snapper would go in the second round.
The long snapper from Florida is still waiting for his name to be called.
Now this is EJ. EJ tuned into SportsGrid's draft coverage. He checked the app, tracked the markets, followed the pros. He didn't guess. He knew. Be EJ. SportsGrid draft coverage starts Thursday at 7:30 p.m. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
¿Qué tal, amigos? We are back. This is LatiNation Football Club, and now it's time for international soccer. Yes, we have one of the greatest games this weekend, la Copa del Rey. La final de la Copa del Rey, un clásico español, Barcelona contra Real Madrid. Nick, are you excited to be able to watch this world-class, fierce clásico on one of the most legendary tournaments in Spain?
Of course I am. These two teams are a pleasure to watch playing against anyone. Watching them go head to head, whether it's just league play or it's a final like this or it's the Champions League, which not going to happen this year, it's amazing to watch. Love it. Super exciting.
This is a moment where the teams are in different trajectories. We have a Real Madrid that has encountered the reality of a team that in paper is very strong, but on the field sometimes lacks the depth and the connection to win the big games. And now they're out of most of the competitions. And Barcelona, on the other hand, it's a team that is playing at a very, very high level. They're still in competition, and they are still trying to win it all this season. Do you have a favorite, and what are the insights that you can share to our audience?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, you hit it right on the nail there. Barcelona's kind of in their current form, looking absolutely amazing. I have to say they're looking like they're in the better position to take this, but again, Real Madrid on the other side, looking to kind of salvage this sort of rough season. But both teams rich in history, of course. It goes without saying, Marcelino, rich in talent as well. So it's going to be an amazing match either way. But they're fighting for two different things. This is the 8th time that Real Madrid and Barcelona are going head to head in the Copa del Rey Final. Real Madrid holds a slight edge, though. If we're looking back in history, they got 4 victories to Barca's 3 in those last 7 matches. So we'll have to see what happens on this 8th one. Barcelona is looking so good with their amazing players up front. Rafinha, Yamal, you name it. They're absolutely looking amazing. Hansi Flick, I mean, has been great for Barcelona. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. What are you thinking? I have a feeling you might be on the same page as me.
I am, Nick. I think Barcelona has the complete edge. I think that the strength of the youth in the Barcelona squad will be the deciding factor. I think that Madrid has a very powerful, very mature team. They have players like Vinicius, like Mbappe, like Camavinga, but they are disconnected. The rumors of Ancelotti leaving the team, I think that they might break down a little bit of the magic and the synchronicity that is needed to win a championship, to win a Copa. So I'm going to give this one to Barcelona. Now, Nick, let's fly across the ocean and back to the Americas because it's a moment to speak about CONCACAF Champions, the biggest tournament for clubs in this side of the world. We saw Tigres versus Cruz Azul, the Mexican bracket, a so-so game, very little to talk about. Who do you think is going to get the result next week and is going to face the winner of the MLS bracket?
Cruz Azul seems to have a slight advantage, but again, Tigres is looking so amazing. I mean, these are the top 2-3 teams in Liga MX, so it's so close. It could go either way. So what are you going to do? Base it off the last match. Cruz Azul slightly ahead on paper, but it can go either way. Depends who you like more. That's going to give you a better insight into who can come out on top here because it's just so close. What about you? What's your gut telling you here?
I'm with Cruz Azul. I think Cruz Azul right now is the better team. Tigres, although it's one of the biggest, most successful teams in Mexico when it comes to international competitions, I don't think right now is their moment. They are again in transition, but their coach Vicente, he's great. So I wouldn't discount them, but I'm leaning to go towards Cruz Azul. And now let's take a look at what happened between Miami and Vancouver.
Yes, oficial, Vancouver Whitecaps, the best team in MLS, and now they prove it in CONCACAF because they beat Miami at the CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinal 2-0 and kept Messi and company off the scoreboard. Brian White struck first with a perfectly placed header, and Bellhalter sealed the win with a late stunner. Yohei Takaota was rock solid in net, denying every look Miami could muster, and on top of it, they did it in front of 53,837 fans, a record for busy plays. Vancouver taking a massive lead into the second leg, and they got all the momentum ahead of them.
That's right, Nick, and we'll have to wait till next week to see who advances to the Gran Final de la CONCACAF Champions, MLS contra Liga MX, that's for sure. Nick, thank you so much for your insight and for being here with us today in LatiNation Football Club, and for you at home, thank you for spending this time. And remember, every Friday on SportsGrid and the LatiNation app on LATV broadcast, we will get you all the latest information, results, insight, and even some advice for your betting here in LatiNation Football Club. Yo soy Marcelino Ortiz y te veo la próxima semana.
This is Greg. He bet a long snapper would go in the second round.
The long snapper from Florida is still waiting for his name to be called.
Now this is EJ. EJ tuned into SportsGrid's draft coverage. He checked the app, tracked the markets, followed the pros. He didn't guess. He knew. Be EJ. SportsGrid draft coverage continues Friday at 7 p.m. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid. If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one because you're so far out of the West? Do you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.